Washington's clear-thinking headquarters. The Morning Majority, 5 to 9 on 630 WMAL.
6:38 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Tory Clark, former Pentagon spokeswoman, in the House this morning. Bing West joins us, military historian, former Assistant Secretary of Defense, Marine, author of The Wrong War, Grit Strategy, and the Way Out of Afghanistan. Bing, good to have you this morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks, Brian.
Well, the War Powers Act expired on Friday when it comes to Libya. There are some concerns that people in Congress have about that. I think Dennis Kucinich said that is a possibility of impeachment, but he doesn't want to go that way. But significance of the War Powers Act expiring, and how do you think the President and Congress should handle moving forward on Libya when it comes to that?
Well, I don't think the War Powers Act has had any significance in the last 30 years, so it didn't surprise me at all that President Obama ignored it the way every other president has ignored it.
So it's no big deal to you, in your opinion?
No big deal at all.
And he'll be able to just say, well, you know, I still have the power to do it, and it doesn't necessarily... Then why do we even have the War Powers Act then?
Great question.
That is pretty silly. I don't think we're going to see the Congress get rid of it, but it's a piece of empty legislation.
Okay. Now, when it comes to Afghanistan, you wrote a book on Afghanistan. We obviously have killed bin Laden. There are a lot of people say, you know what? Then the reasoning in getting into Afghanistan has been accomplished. We've essentially gotten rid of all the terror camps. Bin Laden is dead. It's time to move on. Would you agree with that assessment?
I agree with it more than I disagree with it, but we have to be very careful how we get out of there. But it is time to begin to just gradually get our forces out, because as long as we stay there, the Afghans are perfectly willing to let us do the fighting for them. So we do have to just gradually turn it over to them, but nothing dramatic, nothing on the front page. Just do it a little bit at a time.
Do you think the Afghan people have the same hopes and dreams and aspirations for that country as we do?
No. No.
But
I don't know what we were thinking but we did it all. I mean, it wasn't just the president. Everyone agreed we were going to go in and nation build, and I think we now recognize that we were a little bit too conceited in doing that, and it's time that we pulled back from that.
What will happen if we leave too quickly, or if we leave in a slow, methodical way? I mean,
if we leave too quickly, it'll be a disaster, because it'll start a civil war. If we do it the right way and leave some advisors there, but especially if we just continue to pay for their army, I think that you see the Taliban continue to be a nuisance in the rural areas, but they don't have the power to take the cities. And gradually it'll simply fade away. The biggest problem is if we pull a Vietnam on them and cut the budget so that they have no money, then you got a real problem. But if Congress continues to fund them, and it's not a trivial amount of money, you're going to have to spend at least, giving to the Afghans, about $10 billion a year for the next 10 years.
But I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's one of the conversations we need to have is that national security has different manifestations now than it may have had 30, 40, 50 years ago. And that may be the best way we have, spending $10 billion a year, to prevent Afghanistan from returning to what it was, which was just a free running for the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. But do you think Congress is capable of having that kind of conversation?
I don't know, Tori. That's going to be the tough one, because obviously the budget, our own budget, is going to get, I hope, really cut back. It should. And that's going to be a hard sell. And Pakistan is even going to be a harder sell, telling the Congress, hey,
sure,
we have to continue to give money to Pakistan. So there's a real problem lurking in terms of funding Afghanistan and Pakistan.
But would you leave the air, Bagram? Would you keep Bagram? Would you always have a presence in Afghanistan?
Positively. And it would just fade away from the headlines, because we have some terrific young men. They're not that young. Many of our advisors are in their 30s and 40s and really know what they're doing. And we'd have to give good incentives for them, too, either extra pay or make sure they're promoted the right way. But we can handle this. We really can handle this with many fewer forces than we now have there.
All right. What do you make of China giving Pakistan fighter jets, something like 50 fighter jets? The relationship between us and Pakistan, obviously we don't have a great relationship with China when it comes to the military, but the significance of China giving Pakistan 50 fighter jets.
Well, the jets themselves, I think, are token of a bigger problem we have with Pakistan, and that is we'll never have a trusting relationship with Pakistan. I mean, my goodness gracious, they have supposedly 50 nuclear weapons and they're trying to develop more. The only way that we can deal with Pakistan, I think, is on what I'd call a transactional basis, that we say to them, look, we'll give you something, but we expect something in return. And keep the pressure on them, because by nature, I think they tend to be devious.
All right, Big. Good to have you on the program. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you, Brian.